November 2014, Men's Health put the first veteran, an amputee, on the cover, named him the ultimate guy, a true representation of hard work, dedication, and overcoming obstacles, a picture-perfect illusion of the ultimate guy. When I first saw this eye-catching magazine cover, I was living a mile from the ocean, managing one of the busiest yoga studios in Los Angeles, teaching yoga, meditation, hosting retreats. With over a decade of teaching yoga, I've had instrumental moments with veterans, so much so that it sparked a deep desire within me to serve the military community, to create something meaningful for veterans and their families. As soon as I saw this magazine cover, I thought, this is my guy, the guy I'm going to work with. So what do? You go to Google and social media, I send him a message, sharing my idea to collaborate, and sure enough, the stars aligned, and a few weeks later we were in New York City, and we decided to meet. I don't think I'll ever forget that day. I showed up eager and excited to share my business plan, on a mission to serve his military community. He showed up with his wit and his charm, and a different sort of mission. He wanted to sleep with me. True story. We had a lovely dinner and a great conversation. We went our separate ways as friends. I returned to Venice Beach, happy to be teaching my yoga classes and hosting my retreats in Bali. Mr. Magazine cover model and I would have a lovely dinner from time to time when he was in LA for work. One day, he sent me the country song, "If It's Meant to Be, It Will Be," and that quickly became our song. When the pandemic happened, like so many people in Los Angeles, I found myself moving, not to Bali, which was my plan, but to Alabama, to what I had convinced myself was going to be picture perfect. For I still remember the charm in his southern voice saying to me that you are the missing piece to my puzzle. A year later, I married my husband, a retired combat vet who lost 2 of his limbs at war, the kind of man who will light up every room he walks into. Charming, magnetic, the nicest guy you'll meet, but beneath his smile is a boy who was raised to wear invisible armor, to protect his heart with harsh words, and to view vulnerability as weakness. Little did I know, I was moving to fight an unforeseen war of judgment and criticism. I was unarmored and not prepared. By December 2023, our newborn had just turned 1. I remember standing in our kitchen with our baby on my boob. The dishes needed to be done, the floors needed to be swept, food needed to be made for his 3 kids, our work emails needed to be replied to, bills needed to be paid, and there was my husband laying on the couch, scrolling on his phone like none of it was his to carry. I stood there, overwhelmed, exhausted, tears running down my face, feeling like I was doing it all alone. A few weeks later, our newborn and I, traveled to New York City to visit my mom. It was like a dream. I was being nurtured and cared for. I had help. I extended our trip and remember experiencing anxiety for the very first time while I was on the phone with my husband, as I didn't want to return home to him. Having experienced plant medicine personally, it became my hope for my husband and I. I had found an organization, Heroic Hearts, and they take people to Peru, work with ayahuasca. I was unsure of how I was going to convince my husband to say yes to something that he referred to as a drug, yet it didn't matter. Amongst the fear and the tears, I shared with him, and for the very first time, there wasn't a rebuttal. There wasn't even a comment. All I heard on the other end of the phone was, "Okay, I'll submit my application." My husband spent 5 nights in the jungle of Peru, disconnected from the outside world. Ayahuasca allowed my husband to enter realms entered realms no therapist had ever touched. Plant medicine didn't just open a door for my husband and I, or plant medicine didn't just heal my husband and I, or him. It opened a door for him, for us, and for our entire family. Witnessing my husband's transformation wasn't just about him, it was about my own. For so long, I had abandoned myself. I had thought that if I could just love him enough, hold it together long enough, we both would be okay. But love, it isn't self-abandonment. My own healing has taught me that. I've learned that boundaries are not walls. They are bridges back to self-respect. That softness is not weakness. It is strength that refuses to armor up. And most importantly, I am not responsible for healing anyone else's wounds. Within the 5 years that I've lived in Alabama, I have found a version of myself that is so deeply rooted, whole, and no longer afraid to be fully seen. I used to think that the illusion was my husband, the war hero on the cover of Men's Health, the man everyone admired, but the real illusion was my own. I was the one smiling through the pain, curating a version of our life that looked picture perfect from the outside. I share this story today because someone else might be stuck in the same illusion, wondering why their heart feels heavy when everything's painted to look picture perfect. Because healing starts with the courage to share with ourselves and then with someone else. This isn't just a story of my husband, my experience of my husband before and after his psychedelic experience. It's a story of a little girl who was raised to see anything outside of perfect as failure. I've learned that my own healing has taught me that we have to start with our deep connection to ourselves before we can deeply connect with another. And I forgot where I'm going with my story. Hold on, I'm almost done. Yeah, that brain, this moment. I'm sharing this now because it's lighter than wearing a mask. Oh, no. This isn't just a story of my experience of my husband before and after his psychedelic. It's a story of a little girl who was raised to believe anything outside of perfect is failure. It's a mirror, a reminder that love isn't built on a performance. It's built on deep connection with ourselves so we can deeply connect with another. It's raw and vulnerable as a human, as a woman, as a mother, and as a wife who's proud to say, I forgive you and I thank you for healing a part of the little girl within myself that so needed to be seen. Thank you.